Welcome to a gentle exploration of the strange and fascinating world of human phobias. Tonight, we will move slowly through fears that may sound unusual, but are very real for the people who experience them. Phobias often appear without warning, shaped by memories, sensations, or moments we may not fully understand. Some fears are rooted in deep evolutionary instincts, while others emerge from unique personal experiences. In this journey, there is nothing to fear. We will observe these phobias from a calm and safe distance. Think of this as an invitation to understand, rather than to judge, the unusual reactions the mind can create. Some people fear everyday objects that most of us never think twice about. A mirror, a balloon, a cluster of small holes, or even a button can trigger intense discomfort. While these reactions may seem unusual, they often reveal how delicately the human mind is wired. Tonight, as we move deeper into these fears, let the slow rhythm of this narration guide you. Phobias remind us that fear is not always logical, but it is always human. And in understanding these strange fears, we understand a little more about ourselves. Before we dive deeper, take a moment to feel the quiet around you and let your mind prepare for the journey ahead. A simple like, a comment, or subscribing helps more than you might imagine. Now, let us begin our gentle descent into the most unusual phobias humans can experience. As we open this journey, imagine the mind as a vast landscape filled with memories, instincts, and quiet echoes of past experiences. Within this landscape, fear acts like a small ripple that sometimes grows into a powerful wave without our permission. For many people, these waves rise in response to objects or situations that seem harmless to others. A person might feel their heartbeat quicken at the sight of a cluster of tiny patterns or the sound of a popping balloon. These reactions are not chosen. They emerge from deep automatic mechanisms built into our biology. Understanding this helps us approach phobias with compassion instead of confusion. Even the strangest fears have roots, and those roots often tell a quiet story about how the mind tries to protect us. As you continue listening, allow each example to unfold slowly, without judgment or urgency. The goal of this exploration is not to provoke fear, but to observe fear gently from afar. You may notice that some phobias connect to childhood memories, while others appear without a clear reason. The mind does not always reveal why it reacts the way it does, yet every reaction carries meaning. That meaning may be subtle, hidden beneath emotions we rarely pay attention to. Tonight, we will treat every phobia, no matter how unusual, with quiet curiosity. Let your mind float softly as we move toward the first set of fears, each one stranger and more fascinating than the last. As you settle deeper into relaxation, remember that fear is simply a signal, not a threat. And with that gentle reminder, we can now begin our slow descent into the unique phobias waiting ahead. A phobia begins as a small signal that the mind amplifies into a persistent alert. It often feels sudden, as if a quiet thought has been replaced by urgent attention to something ordinary. This change is not a failure of will. It is the brain using an old, fast pathway designed to protect us. When that protective system misreads a cue, an everyday object can become a source of alarm. Some phobias trace back to clear events, like a painful accident or a frightening childhood moment. Other phobias form without a single remembered cause and arrive slowly, as if the mind accumulates worry over time. The amygdala and related circuits respond first, producing physical signs before thought catches up. You might notice sweating, breath changes, a hollow feeling in the stomach, or an urge to flee. For many people, the reaction is shameful or embarrassing, which only deepens avoidance. Avoidance teaches the brain that fear is useful, because staying away prevents the uncomfortable sensation. That short-term relief becomes a long-term pattern, and the phobia grows roots in daily life. Some phobias are specific and narrow. For example, an intense fear of mirrors or of seeing one's reflection. Other phobias are broader, involving social situations, confined spaces, or a fear of certain sensations. Trypophobia, the discomfort at clustered holes or repetitive patterns, shows how visual features can trigger alarm. Belonophobia, the fear of needles, often combines past painful experiences with learned anticipation. Mirror phobia can relate to identity, distorted perceptions, or uncanny associations the mind refuses to accept. Many people cope privately, developing rituals or habits that reduce exposure to triggers. These coping methods offer temporary comfort, but prevent the learning that would dissolve fear over time. Clinical approaches focus on retraining response patterns so that the brain relearns safety. Exposure therapy, done gently and systematically, allows repeated safe encounters to replace alarm with calm cognitive behavioral techniques, help reframe beliefs, and reduce catastrophic interpretations of harmless cues. Mindfulness and breathing practices reduce the physical intensity so thought can reassume control. Support from others, gentle, non-judgmental presence, makes a measurable difference in recovery. Stigma keeps many people silent, so simply naming a fear can be the first step toward relief. Phobias affect relationships, work, and daily routines, yet they are not signs of moral weakness. They are signals from a system that once protected us and sometimes misfires in modern life. With compassionate attention and small, steady steps, the mind can unlearn harmful alarms. We will now move from theory into examples, beginning with some of the most visually driven phobias. Trypophobia is one of the most visually triggered phobias known, rooted in the discomfort caused by clusters of tiny, repetitive holes or patterns. For many people, the reaction is immediate, arriving as a wave of unease before the mind has time to form clear thoughts. Images of lotus seed pods, honeycombs, coral textures, or even patterned foods can trigger an intense physical response. The sensation often begins as a tightening in the chest or a crawling feeling across the skin. Some describe a deep shiver, an overwhelming urge to look away, or a discomfort so strong it borders on nausea. This reaction does not reflect weakness. Rather, it reflects an ancient biological system responding to patterns associated with danger. Researchers suggest that the human visual system is sensitive to certain shapes because similar patterns appear in venomous animals, parasites, and diseased skin. The mind may react before it identifies the object, triggering a primitive warning to stay away. For individuals with trypophobia, this warning is exaggerated, turning a harmless image into a source of intense discomfort. The clusters may appear threatening, even though no real danger exists, illustrating how the brain prioritizes safety over accuracy. This phobia can affect daily life, as simple scenes like a sponge, an aerated chocolate bar, or a natural plant pattern. Many people hide this fear because they assume others will not understand its intensity. However, the emotional and physical reactions are real, emerging from deep neurological responses. If you experience trypophobia, your body is responding to shapes that once symbolized disease or threat in early environments. Understanding this can bring relief, as it shows the fear is not random but deeply rooted in human perception. With exposure, calming practices, and slow visual desensitization, the mind can learn to recognize these images as harmless. Progress is possible because the same brain that misreads the pattern can eventually reinterpret it with clarity and calm. As we move forward, we will explore other unusual phobias shaped by sight, sound, and memory, each offering a window into the complexity of fear. Ablutophobia is one of the most surprising phobias because it involves a fear of washing, bathing, or even being near water for cleaning. This fear is not simply about disliking showers. It can trigger intense anxiety, rapid heartbeat, and an overwhelming desire to escape the situation. Some individuals with ablutophobia avoid bathing for long periods, not because they want to, but because the act itself feels threatening to them. This fear can emerge in childhood, sometimes linked to traumatic experiences such as slipping in the bathtub or being forced to bathe. In adults, it may form due to anxiety disorders, past injuries, or even sensory sensitivity, where water touching the skin feels overwhelming. For many listeners, it may seem unimaginable to fear something as harmless as a shower. Yet, for those who experience this phobia, it represents a genuine emotional challenge. Ablutophobia often leads to shame or embarrassment, as people may hide their fear due to social pressure or fear of judgment from others. Despite how isolating it feels, this fear is treatable with gentle therapeutic approaches such as gradual exposure, guided relaxation, and emotional support. In our exploration of unusual human fears, ablutophobia demonstrates how the mind can attach intense meaning to everyday actions most people never question. Understanding this fear helps us appreciate the complexity of human emotion and the delicate ways anxiety can reshape daily life. As you continue listening, allow this calm narration to guide you through the strange, intricate world of phobias without judgment or hurry. Every fear, no matter how unusual, has a story behind it, and tonight, we gently uncover another layer of that hidden emotional landscape. Humans are capable of fearing things that might seem completely harmless to others. Some people experience intense anxiety when they see everyday objects like mirrors, buttons, or even balloons. These fears, although unusual, are very real and can affect daily life in surprising ways. For example, there is a recognized phobia called catoptrophobia, which is the fear of mirrors. People suffering from catoptrophobia might avoid reflective surfaces at all costs, sometimes even refusing to look into a window. Another unusual phobia is omphallophobia, which is the fear of belly buttons. Those with omphallophobia may feel intense discomfort or anxiety when they see their own or someone else's belly button. These phobias highlight how the human mind can associate fear with the most ordinary things. Interestingly, phobias are not always linked to danger. Some are completely irrational, yet they provoke a real physiological response, including increased heart rate and sweating. Phobias can develop from past experiences, but sometimes there is no clear reason why a person might fear something. Interestingly, even fictional or symbolic representations can trigger phobic reactions in susceptible individuals. Now, before we continue exploring more unusual fears, take a brief moment to support this channel if you're enjoying this calm journey into human psychology. Hit the like button, subscribe, and maybe leave a comment with the strangest fear you've ever heard of. As we move forward, we will explore phobias that are tied to very specific situations rather than objects. Humans have long had a complex relationship with animals, ranging from admiration to fear. Some fears are common and easily understood, like fear of snakes or spiders, but others are far more unusual. Take aerophobia, the fear of cats, for instance. Although cats are often seen as harmless companions, those with aerophobia can experience intense anxiety at the sight of a cat, even if it is small or distant. Similarly, cynophobia is the fear of dogs, and it can significantly impact a person's daily life. People with cynophobia might avoid parks, sidewalks, or even visiting friends who have dogs, effectively restricting their freedom. There are also rarer fears, like equinophobia, the fear of horses. Even though horses are often gentle and domesticated, the fear can be deeply rooted in past experiences or sometimes develop without any clear reason. Interestingly, phobias of animals are not always logical. Some people fear creatures that pose little to no actual threat. For instance, there is ornithophobia, the fear of birds. While most birds are harmless, this phobia can cause panic attacks in certain situations. The human brain can link even small or non-threatening movements of an animal to danger, triggering physiological responses such as rapid heartbeat, sweating, or nausea. Phobias of animals can also be culturally influenced. In some societies, certain creatures are seen as ominous or unlucky, reinforcing fear in individuals. Even common pets, like hamsters or rabbits, can trigger phobic reactions in highly sensitive individuals. While it may seem strange to fear animals that are largely harmless, these phobias are genuine and can deeply affect daily routines and emotional well-being. Humans are capable of fearing things that seem completely bizarre or even absurd to others. One such phobia is pogonophobia, the fear of beards. People suffering from pogonophobia may feel intense anxiety or discomfort when they encounter someone with facial hair, even if it poses no real threat. Similarly, nomophobia is the fear of being without a mobile phone. Even in modern society, where mobile phones are common, this phobia can severely affect daily life, causing panic when a device is lost or out of battery. Another rare and fascinating fear is cyanophobia, the fear of snow. Those with cyanophobia may avoid winter activities or even leaving their home during snowy conditions, despite snow being harmless for most people. Then, there is ergophobia, the fear of work or the workplace itself. Ergophobia goes beyond simple dislike of work. It can trigger severe anxiety, physical symptoms, and social avoidance. Even stranger is xanthophobia, the fear of the color yellow. Individuals with xanthophobia may avoid clothing, objects, or even foods that are yellow, reacting with panic or intense discomfort. These unusual phobias reveal the complexity and unpredictability of human psychology. Even when a fear seems ridiculous or trivial to outsiders, it can be intensely real for those who experience it. Fears, whether ordinary or bizarre, reveal a lot about the human mind. Phobias are extreme examples of these fears, often highlighting the ways our brains respond to perceived threats. Even when a fear seems irrational, it can trigger real physical and emotional reactions, such as rapid heartbeat, sweating, or panic. By studying unusual phobias, we can gain insight into the diversity of human experience. We learn that what terrifies one person might be completely harmless to another. This understanding can help cultivate empathy, patience, and tolerance toward others' fears. Additionally, facing small fears can sometimes improve resilience and coping skills. Some phobias remind us of the power of the subconscious mind and past experiences in shaping our reactions. They also illustrate that fear is not always logical. It is often symbolic, emotional, and deeply personal. By understanding fear, we can start to manage it more effectively and reduce its control over our lives. Moreover, exploring bizarre phobias encourages curiosity and wonder about the human mind. We realize that even the strangest fears have a place in the spectrum of human experience. In the end, these lessons remind us to respect both our own fears and those of others. Fear can be a teacher if we observe it carefully and understand its origins and triggers. By embracing this understanding, we can approach life with greater compassion, awareness, and courage. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the strange world of human fears. Remember, every fear is valid and can teach us something about ourselves. Stay curious and compassionate towards your own fears and those of others. Until next time, stay calm and keep exploring the wonders of the human mind.